So welcome back to Chem 101 Lab. Today we're going to talk about experiment number 3, which we are going to dissolve a penny and then do a series of standard dilutions. So the first thing that we're going to talk about today is doing our series of standard dilutions. Now, a series of standard dilutions is used to figure out the concentration range of a standard. And using that standard, we're going to use the equation that we get from the concentration series to find out the unknown concentration. So in this case, we're going to figure out how much copper is in a penny by making a standard series of copper nitrate solutions. Now for this example, I'm just going to use water to do the dilutions, but the same concepts are going to apply when you're actually doing your dilutions. Now, the first thing that we're going to do is we will take, say, 2 milliliters of our copper nitrate solution, and we will dilute it down to a certain concentration. So to do that, we're going to use a graduated pipette. Now the graduated pipette has markings going from 0 to 10 milliliters, and depending on how much you transfer out, will transfer a certain amount of volume. So if we go from 0 to 2, that's 2 milliliters. If we go from 2 to 4, that's another 2 milliliters. If we go from 0 to 8, that's 8, or 1 to 9, that's 8 as well. So it's a simple subtraction between what number you end at from the number that you start at. Now, if we want to transfer 2 milliliters, it's going to work much in the same way as your transfer pipette worked, your volumetric transfer pipette. We're going to squeeze our little stress ball / safety bolt, put it over our pipette, insert it into our liquid. We're going to let it suck up a little bit, and then we'll try to get it to about the 0 mark. Now, if we go over that mark, we can always release our finger and get it back down. And once it's at the 0 mark, we will transfer 2 milliliters of it into our volumetric flask. So we're going to use 10 milliliter volumetric flask. So if we want to do 2 milliliters, we're going to slowly release the pressure and then drop it down to the line. Now if you'll notice, I have the pipette up at eye level so I can see when that meniscus gets to that line. Now once it's at that line, I'm going to stop it by putting pressure again on my right hand. I'll go ahead and safely return this back to the beaker that I have it in. Now we have 2 milliliters in this volumetric flask. Now you may not be able to see it in this video, but your volumetric flask has a little white mark that we're going to fill it to. Now a lot of people make the mistake of trying to just go to the sink and fill it up. What we can do is we can have something with a little bit more control, either with the squirt bottle, again, not a water gun. I know this looks fun, but don't do it. We can take this and we can fill it up to the mark. And again, notice how I have it at eye level here. And we can fill it up at a controlled pace, and then once it is to the mark, I'll go ahead and stop it. And now I have it at the mark. We will then cap it with one of our penny head stoppers. So this little glass stopper right here, the penny head number 9. We'll cap it, we will hold it down tightly and invert it so we get a mix here, going up and down once or twice. And then we'll place it back down on our lab bench. We'll open it up and we'll transfer it into a container. Sometimes it gets a little stuck here, so we'll have to give it a gentle little tap to get the liquid flowing into our other container. This could be an Erlenmeyer flask or a beaker. And once that's transferred, we can label that with some labeling tape. Now the labeling tape will be located in your lab, and your instructor will show you where it's at. We'll cap this and then we'll store it until we make all of our other solutions. All right, so that's how you do your standard series. Now, the other thing that you can do if you don't want to use your little squirt bottle, again, don't do this, this is bad. You can use a Pasteur pipette. Now a Pasteur pipette works by putting a little Pasteur pipette bulb up the top. inserting it into your liquid, so in this case it's water, and then bringing it back up. And you'll notice, without putting any pressure, the liquid is still staying inside of the master pipette. Now, if we wanted to fill this guy up again, we could simply put it in there and give it a squeeze, and it will eject all the liquid that was in this master pipette. So those are the two safe ways to top off your volumetric flask without going over. Now, if you do go over, unfortunately, you have to start again because your concentrations will not be the ones that you're calculated. So be very careful when you're doing this. Once you've made your standard series, what we're going to do is we are going to go ahead and dilute our penny that's been dissolved. So at the beginning of your lab, you'll throw a penny in nitric acid. It'll turn this really cool bluish green color. And then we'll transfer that into a 50 milliliter volumetric flask. Now, yours will be inside of a beaker, and it'll be about 35 milliliters. Now, this one is a little bit more than that, but we'll go ahead and transfer it over. Now, when you transfer it, what you want to do to avoid spilling is use a short stem funnel. And the short stem funnel can be found in your drawer, just as I showed you, right here. We'll put it over the top. We'll hold it above it just gently, and then we'll pour our liquid in there. And much in the same way that we topped off our 10 milliliter volumetric flask, we're going to do the same thing for our 50 milliliter. Now, what we want to do here is first squirt a little bit of water in our container so we get any residue that's left over in here. And then we're going to transfer it over the funnel, and that way we get any residue that's left over. Then we'll take our squirt bottle or our master pipette and then top this guy off as well. So we'll take it, we'll squeeze it. There's going to be a line that we're going to get to. We don't want to go over that line, so we're going to go nice and slow. And then it's right there. We can stopper it, invert it once or twice to get a good mix. And then we'll transfer that to a reagent bottle, which is this bottle right here. Okay, so that's pretty much all the techniques that you're going to have to see to do this lab. If you have any other questions, feel free to ask your instructor either by emailing them beforehand or just waiting to class and asking them then. We will go ahead and wrap up this video now, and we'll see you next time.